wonderful. Would you Bud, please? Bud.
When was he born? A wonderful, wonderful.
9 months after his mommy and daddy.
He was born in 1903.
I was going to say before 1910.
1903. My dad was born in 06, so there was still 3 years of independence. And B. Nichols, when did B. Nichols? 1912? I think the first Buffalo was 1930. So B. Nichols. All right, Hebrews chapter 13. Now, I thought, why don't we, I'm going to preach this. I plan to preach it in its context. That better? That better? You were saying something to me. So what were you doing?
Oh, giving us for benefit, so you probably don't know what they are.
Oh, you were answering a question. Okay. Well, I can, we tend to go to this verse and just use the verse without doing its context. Now, we've done, I have done the verse before. It's Hebrews 13, verses 5 and 6. Verse 5 and 6. That's where we're going to be. And, well, let's just preach it and see what... I decided to write the outline in my Bible, and let's just go for it. It's 20 minutes to 2. We have 9 points. And if we go 3 or 4 minutes a point, we'll be here for a half hour. Oops.
Please stand by.
Please stand by. Are we okay or no? We're all right.
Keep rolling.
Who used to say that? Keep it rolling no matter what. The guy with a straw hat, what's his name? In the pan face. Silent film. Buster Keaton. Roll the film even if he dies. Don't stop rolling the film. I don't plan to die up here right now.
It would be a money shot.
All right. Our title today is Good News on a Bad Day. I said to the wife, well, what should I preach? I mean, we've been doing this. We have 4,000 or 5,000 sermons in the bag. Hopefully none of them are the same. And you kind of run out of things, you know, after 5,000 times. You don't want to be the same every time. I'd like to think this was never done before, ever in church before. Think that was ever done before? No, no one's dumb enough to do it. I don't know. No one's dumb enough to do it. Good news on a bad day. What would be a bad day? What would be a bad day? I told her, no, I don't believe I'm a gloom and doomer. You know, we have our plans, and God's got his plan. Our plan is to pay off all our debts. Pastor doesn't have his debts paid off. Well, that's life, man. Some people choose one path. I got saved, and we chose another path. And I said, we plan to live here, retire here, and die here at our house. God could change all that. What could he do to the house? Burn it to the ground. He could get me into bankruptcy so I couldn't pay the house off. And then what's going to happen? Somebody has to tell me to leave the house.
Sure.
Right? That can all happen. Fine, that's not far-fetched. But the wife and I have no desire to go ride on the back of an elephant. You know, on these banks, they show these ads. They actually use as an ad. Your retirement, you can borrow money and get equity in your house and go right on the back of, and they show these pictures, right on the back of an elephant, take a trip down the Nile. I have no desire to go on a trip on the Nile. I have no desire to go to the Holy Land. I mean, I have no desire to go there. I have no desire to get on what do you call those boats? A cruise ship. I have no desire to go on a cruise ship. Listen, if I have to get on a plane, I'm not afraid of getting on a plane, but I have no desire to go fly. I don't want to fly to Paducahville. I don't want to fly to Paducahville. I don't want to drive to Paducahville. I don't want to. I just want to go home, be with my wife, and have a pop. And so on. But God can ruin all that if he wants to. You say he ruins it. Well, God can do whatever he wants or permit to have happen as he would permit the devil to do. You can have a bad day at the office, man. A real bad day. You walk into the office and you get, what's the color of the slip? You get your pink slip. That would be a bad day, folks. You could have a bad day in court. This case is a slam dunk. Oh, am I glad of that? And then they find you what? Guilty. None of that's far-fetched. You could have a bad day with your family. Those things happen. You have a bad day. What about a bad day with your health? My sister, my brother-in-law quit Sears, and Sears is belly up. But he quit Sears 30-some years ago. They started a hardware store. They went to Colorado. From Colorado to Iowa, they finished up in Minnesota. My brother-in-law died at 62 or 3 of cancer. And then my sister took it all over, and her son helped out, and they're really doing it now. And she's lost a kidney. Did she lose a kidney? Or it just failed? She had to have a kidney replacement. She fell down. She's 70 now, and she's in a retirement home. I mean, I don't think that was her plan. And being in business isn't all that it's cracked up to be, folks. I've been in business all my life. My mother-in-law wanted me to just do one thing as a business owner. She wanted me to do one thing. We're talking about the UAW. They were shedding people. Why don't you go out and get a real job? That's real uplifting. But she would always want me to go out and get a real job. Well, my brother-in-law's health went down south. They owned a business. I mean, it was hectic. It was rough. And then my sister, she's lost her health. What about if you lose your wealth? Can that happen? And let's say you have little to lose. You don't have much wealth. Can God permit that to go too? Sure. The little bit you have could go. That'd be a bad day. But there is good news on a bad day. You could have that. It says here, well, go ahead and read verses 5 and 6. Let your conversation be without covetousness. Be content with such things as ye have. And a few of us actually abide by this. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Now we go to the last part of that verse. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. We say, what a promise. Yeah, but the promise is based upon the balance of what is in the verse. Let your conversation, the way you live, be without covetousness. You don't desire the Harley Davidson. How much does a Harley cost today?
20 grand.
20 grand?
So
How much does an Indian cost?
100.
Well, my banjo teacher is involved with Harley and Indians. He likes that stuff. 20 grand and up. $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. It costs a lot of money. We called him the hillbilly. They rented from us next door here. He was the hillbilly. He bought a full dresser. And this had to be about 1965. A full dressed dresser at that time, I think, was $3,500. Things had really changed. He would drive it up here. He would smoke the tire on that thing from this building here all the way to the railroad tracks. He was a handsome guy. He was just a hillbilly. He could have passed as a cowboy. Cowboy on his big Harley. He took that thing out and totaled it. He bought it back from the junkyard for $80. That's how totaled it was. He had a bad day. But we have to be content. We should be not covetous. Be content with such things as you have. Why does he say that? Because I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. I'm going to be with you not because you desire this stuff, but because Lord, how am I going to get by? How am I going to get by unless I have this? I'm not going to get by. And he says, you don't have to worry about all that stuff. You're going to get by. I'm never going to leave you. See, if we keep it in the context of what it is. But we always go to the last part of the verse and say, well, that's what it means. But it really doesn't mean that. We apply it then to everything. So, good news on a bad day. I guess, I had all kinds of illustrations. I preached this message. When I preach a message in my sleep, forget it. The next day it's not going to come out right. It's just not, if it's not written down. My father, he was losing it at the end. He was watching television. I was still living at the house, and I came home and said, watch this. This guy is spoons are flying around the room, and he's demonically possessed, and this and that and the other thing, and then watch this. Now this wasn't the recording days. This is like live action. It wasn't live TV. It's not 1951. This is 1971. And so this guy who was possessed, so-called, did that. Now watch this. He's going to make a picture appear. He's possessed. He holds up the picture. The paper was this big. I don't have paper that big. It was this big. Puts it down on the table. Now this guy is possessed. He's going to make a detailed drawing. With his eyes closed, he takes this, not chalk and not a pencil, something halfway in between. And I'm not exaggerating. He does this. About that long. What was that, about 28 seconds? 20 seconds? And he holds it up, and it was a perfect picture. Medieval type buildings, narrow ways, streets like in Paris. Very detailed. And my dad said, see? I said to myself, what, my father? I said, I could do that. I could do that. I don't even know what happened to my dad. I just did it. That's what that guy did, right there. That's all he did. But all the masses are just tricked and fooled. I couldn't understand what happened to my father, especially at the end. I just could never figure it out. Well, let's get busy here with the first. We have all L words here today. Verse 5. Let your conversation. What is your conversation? Your lifestyle. Okay, so our first point is your life. Everybody here has a lifestyle. Marty lives one way. Ben lives another way. Brother Newman, he lives another way. We all live a little differently. We have different likes and we have different dislikes, and so on. He that loveth, what does it say? He that loveth wine or shall not be rich, or he that loveth fine things shall not be rich. Yeah, there's a proverb like that. But we all have different lifestyles. The way that you and I live. Some people punch out a clock. Are they happy doing that? Some are and some aren't. Down here where they mail the mail, do you think that'd be a pretty good job, mailing the mail? Would it be steady? Would it be a fairly decent income? I don't think they're on poverty road, but they're not making 6 digits. How does a person then that goes cling, 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 make more money?
Get another cling clang.
Either get another cling clang. If you keep that cling clang, what else do you have to do then?
Get another one.
Get another one, not just a different one, but another one. They go out and they end up doing something else on top of that. They get a second job. Some people have to do that in order to survive, or they do that because they think they have to do that to survive. Before I got saved, I worked 7 days a week. I worked 7 days a week. After I got saved, I cut Sunday out. And then it was about 6 months down the road, I got involved in a vacation Bible school. I worked every night. And if I didn't work those nights, we would not make it. I was forced, because I joined up with a 1 week vacation Bible school, I had to quit working nights for 1 week. And I said to myself, and I'm a saved person now, I'm a few months into this, and I said, if I can make it this week, I could make it the next week. And if I can make it the next week without working at night, then I could make it the next week. And then that week will turn into a month. And if I can make it this month without working at night, I can make it the next month. Now, it doesn't mean I cut out all the nights, but I pretty much quit. And what I thought I had to have, I didn't. So I just did a job, and I delivered it yesterday, and I said, is the gal here? She's this down at the post office. I said, is the gal here? And they said, no, this is her day off. And I said, well, does she have but she has a desk. So I said, well, put this on her desk. I gave her, I made a rubber stamp for her. I might give it to her. I don't know, and I really don't care. I'm not out to milk people. I might just give it to her. She's selling beauty supplies, whatever I don't have to mention the name. We're online here. The name of the beauty place and all. But why does she do that? Because she likes beauty supplies? Oh, I'm just dying to sell beauty supplies.
Make a few extra dollars.
To make a few extra bucks. To make a few extra dollars. When you're all said and done, it ain't worth it, buddy. My father said, after all it was said and done, if you can't make it in 8 hours, you can't make it, buddy. You got to make it in 8 hours. Because after that, you can't. The life that is your conversation. Let your conversation be without covetousness. Covetousness. If you covet, not that you have it, but let's say that acquired it. If I own the house, I don't own the house, I have the house, and my dad said, I'm not going fishing ever again. I'm not renting another boat. But he was going to go out in a boat. How would you go out in a boat if you didn't rent the boat? You bought the boat. So what are the 2 happiest days of the boat?
Buy it, sell it.
The day you buy it, the day you sell it. And then, what is it that you pour into the boat? The boat's a haul. What do you pour into the boat?
Money.
You pour money into it. Now, I'm not saying boats are bad. I'm not saying boats are bad. But you have to be the kind of person that was raised with a father that did lobster trapping. Or they ran a charter out there. Or they had enough money where they did water skiing. And they're out on that boat, let's say they're saved. They don't go on Sunday. And they go Saturday, they go Monday, they go Thursday, and they go Saturday. And they know what to do with a boat. Man, we didn't know anything about a boat. And so when you become covetous and then you acquire that and you actually have it, it becomes an extra. Our next L word is the load. All you do is make the load all the greater on yourself. Instead of just having a wife, a children, a house, and a car, now we throw the boat in there. What else could we throw on top of the boat? A motorcycle. What would a girl want? Help me out, girls. What do girls want? Girls don't want it. Don't you girls want a Harley?
Another house.
Another. Oh yeah, she wants a bigger house. What bankrupt the guy with the straw hat and the pan face? Buster Keaton. What bankrupt him?
My wife wanted to live up to the
His,
Joneses.
they had to live up to an image, and his wife was an actress, and she insisted on the finest house in Hollywood. They built this grand place, and they kept saying, you can't afford it, you can't afford it. It then drove him to, it forced him to work where he was no longer creative, and it drove him to drink. And he ruined everything. At one time, they were the richest people in Hollywood. But the load, you add all this extra load to your life. Let your conversation be without cuffs. And be content with such things as you have. Is then we, and to tie all this in, there's other L words that would tie in, not only the load, but it is the lack. We think we need this. We're really lacking. Now, my father said one thing about our business is true in any business. We're not in the tool and die business, but we support tool and die. And it's more technical. I told the boys, man, you want to get out of this. You don't want to do this. Why don't you just go dig holes and cut grass, rake leaves? You don't want to do this. It was like getting into the barbershop business in the hippie days. The handwriting is on the wall. He said, one thing, kid, you're going to find out. You will always need more tools than what you have. I'll always need this extra tool. I always will. Boy, I wish I had the hammer they had. How many hammers are made in the world? A claw hammer, a ball peen hammer, a sledgehammer,
Drywall hammer.
a drywall hammer. Now there's a bricklayer's hammer.
Yeah.
Listen, we can name off 5 or 6. There's probably 100 different types of hammers.
Doctor's hammer.
There's 100 different types of hammers. And you'll never have enough. There's always, you're at work, and you say, boy, I wish I had this tool. And you see it in the catalog. It sure would make life a little easier. I wish I could buy that. And you might buy it if there's enough need for it. But there's always the lack. You'll never have enough. You'll never get to the point where you have enough. There always will be the lack. You'll always desire more. God said, you don't have to desire that. I'm never going to leave you. You don't have to rely on your own right arm. I won't leave you. That's what the last part of the verse is, the lack. So when you watch television, as an example, and you watch the ad, if you buy the Cadillac, what comes with the Cadillac?
Prestige.
No, let's hit it where it's home. The girl comes with the caddy. That's our 4th L word. That is the what?
Lady.
No, not the lady. The lie. It's the lie that we need. Every child watches those ads, and they see the new line of toys that are coming out. Daddy, I've got to have one of those. The lie. It is the grandiosest lie. You know, we all need video games. You know what? We all have to have a cell phone. I told a couple here, there are people here that have never seen this, can't comprehend this, have never experienced it. This is the way we lived. This was part of the sign shop next door. This is part of engraving. I'm called out to University Hospital, and they say, we want you to make this sign. Will you come on out there? Listen, in 1962, did they have cell phones? Were they taking pictures? And if they did take pictures, they didn't take a picture and send it to you. They said, come on out here and take a picture. How would I take a picture of that? No?
Well,
No?
rub it.
That's exactly right. A rubbing. I take an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I hold it up to the sign. And I said to the secretary, you got a number 2 pencil? You have a number 2 pencil? Preferably one that's sharpened. And you hold it up there, and you go, shh. That's what I did up there. And there's the perfect picture of the sign I have to make. This is the height of the letter, the size of the letter. I could have made that sign 15 years ago, and I don't have any record of it. Now I got a record. We would actually make rubbings of that and put them in the file cabinet. So I could pull it out 5 years from now so I can see that's what I made. We'll put it right on the shipper. This is not mystery time. A lie. The other thing, men's eyes are, give me a good L word for that. Men's eyes are, there's a verse that says their eyes are never satisfied. It is the, what do they do? A look. They're always looking over there. One thing I've noticed, now I've engraved over here for years, since I was in there when I was 13. Front bay doors open, and I'm engraving. We did all of CE cast, all went down to Mexico. All the lines of General Motors lines, Ford's lines, of all the assembly lines, we did all the nameplates. Did all the nameplates for, if they're spraying parts in the steel industry, you have to mill through the steel all the way through, and you leave the little things to make the letters so you can, the centers don't fall out of an A or an O. And so it's like a stencil, but you cut through this mild steel, big giant letters in big plates, and they literally weld it up on these bins, and it goes through this thing where they're spray painting it. Well, why do you have to have a sign that where it goes all the way through? You can see the number, but the number goes all the way through, and it's connected, because when they're spraying it, if it had a bottom, it would eventually fill up with paint. And they still have to read the number. This has been number 148. This has been number 730. Man, I would cut them things. Do you think that's easy to mill all the way through that? Now today, they're probably doing it. They do this, and they hit the start button, and then they go have a cup of coffee. Well, I had to do all this by hand. The companies I did that for were already bankrupt before I did it and stuck me for it all. I don't even know why I said that. It escapes my mind. You see, I'm pushing 70.
Not so fast.
Not so fast. But men, oh, I know why I said that. The front bay door will be open. It's the middle of summer, and I'm watching people. I watch people that walk. I got to entertain myself somehow. I have all this copy set up on this big table. Folks, we set copy. You know, you go to the antique store and you have the printing press and they have the little tray and they're going to say, folks, we're still setting copy. Not that copy, but engraving copy. And I'm cutting away. And they say, well, why are you going backwards on this? And why do you skip every other letter? And why do you do the perimeter of the letter? And then you do the top line, then the bottom line, then you come and do a few letters. Why do you do that? Why do I do that? I'm bored out of my mind, brother. The only reason I do that is to break up the monotony.
Yeah.
It's very monotonous. And I'm engraving away, and a woman walks by. She might have her earphones on, and and a guy walks by. This is the way men and women are. The woman's walking by like this. The man walks by like this, and he's going, and he goes, he might even walk in. What's going on in here? Every one of them do that. Every woman walks by, never looks in. 1 out of 100 looks in. 1 out of 100 men don't look in. Every man looks in, and no women look in. And there's a certain portion of men that will walk in. It gets to the point where, well, how you doing? I don't even know the guy. I said, well, if you want a pop, you can go get a pop out of the fridge. You don't mind? You don't mind? I said, well, what do you have? He said, what do you got? Well, I have orange. I got Dr. Pepper. I got Sprite. We got Coke. We have Pepsi. Ain't something else off.
Water.
No, come on, we want the real deal. Oh well, I'll give you a 7-Up. Sprite, huh? Oh yeah, we'll get by with a repair. Whatever you want in there. I don't care what flavor it is. They open it up. What's in there?
Not the one you want.
Pepsi. That's my joke. There's only Pepsi in here. So you make it whatever you want. But because if I buy the other flavors that my men want, they first drink all what I want, the Pepsi, and leave me the root beer. So I finally put a stop to that. It's all Pepsi. It's not Pepsi, it's Coke. No, it doesn't matter. But our fifth one is the look. Men, and I'm going to lump them together, men and women, there's a lack. I need this. They believe a lie, and then they take a look and they see it and they say, I've got to have that. I had a couple people say this today. That was cool. But you're not going to own this. But when they see the Harley, they say the same thing. Boy, that was cool. And they got to have it. But look, our sixth one, give me another good L word for that. L, 4-letter word. L-U. Yes, sir. The lust. Then they start lusting for it. I've got to have it! I've got to have it! And they've got to have it, then they acquire it. Man, they wish, oh man, if I could only get out of this. The lust, and they lust for it. Okay, that's let your conversation be without covet. I'll speed this up, folks. We got we only have 3 more points. And be content with such things as ye have. You want to know why he says that? Because men have to, our next L word, the learning. They have to learn that. Men and women, I know you're tired. I know you're tired. Men and women have to learn that. Learn to be content with what they have. Not that you can't have more or should have more, but in the meantime, while you're waiting, learn to be content with what you got. The learning. Listen, I'm only preaching what it says. This is what it says. The learning. The learning, to be content. Now, assuming everybody has 2 arms and 2 legs, 2 hands, and 10 fingers, 5 fingers on a hand. And we're not talking about somebody that is missing an arm or 2. Everybody's got 2 hands. What if and now we know you can't take it with you. There's nothing you can take with you. But in this lifetime, lost and saved, doesn't matter if you're lost and saved, you could only carry and take what your 2 arms and hands could carry. Nothing more and nothing less. You got to be content with that. That's what he gave us. That's what he gave us. The contentment. The learning. And men have to be content. What if it could be what only 2 hands could carry? We have to be content. Why? Why? As the Holy Spirit whispers in your ears, the Lord whispers in your ear, and that is our 8th one, the Lord. I will never leave thee See, that's the part of the verse we remember. At the beginning of the verse, it's all about covetousness and people who are not content. The Lord then says, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Listen, don't worry. You're going to make it. Good news on a bad day, see? Don't worry, you're going to make it. Did the generation before us make it? Did the generation before us make it, and the one before them, and we're going to make it too. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. The Lord is still with you and I. I know what a bankruptcy notice looks like. We've had plenty of them. We've had plenty of them. You do work, and I don't even have people sign for their work anymore. When a big company taught me, he said, if you can't trust your customers, who can you trust? And I thought, yeah, why am I having them sign these dumb shippers? And I stopped having them sign shippers as they received it years ago. 20 years ago we stopped that. You want me to name everybody that I know that went bankrupt? Man, it's a lot more than that. Big firms, they come and go. Are you nervous? Are you nervous? The Lord's with you. The Lord is with you. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. The Lord. Verse 6. We'll wrap it up here. This is our 9th one. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Our 9th one, our last L is the leaning. Who are you leaning on? Does my wife lean on me? Yes, she does. Do I lean on her? I do. It does help, right? But ultimately, the Lord is the one we are to lean on. That we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. Are you in a jam? Are you in a jam? The Lord will see you through the jam. You could say, well, I've had a lot of best customers. My best customer right around the corner. It's a warehouse now. It's a warehouse. I had another customer over here. Man, there wasn't a day they weren't in my shop. They literally, we helped put it through Nam. We did Nam work. We did a ton of Vietnam work. They went broke on us. Owner was a drunk. But company after company, big sliving company stuck me, and when the notice comes in, man, I don't even have to open it up. I get on the phone with my wife, and I said, I got a notice from this law firm. I would tell her, there goes the what? There goes the pool. We're going to have to put the swimming pool off for another 5 years. Because they stick it. And did the Lord get us through all that? He got us through it all. I had somebody one time said, they told me 20-some years ago I went to sell it, and so they examined my books. You know what they told me? The B word. You're bankrupt. What's the value of your company if you're bankrupt? Zero. Bankrupt, worth no money, and yet it still paid all, and it still goes. It paid all the bills all those years. Just keep sawing wood. Just keep sawing wood. You want to know what most 90% of all companies are probably in this country? They're all what? They're of no value. They're bankrupt. And they're only worth what the owners put into it. Amen. Amen. You got to be a place like General Motors. Even the government bailed that out. You've got to be, what's your place? A GE. You got to have a lot of muscle, and those places go under. The life, the load, the lack, the lie, the look, the lust, the learning, the Lord, the leaning, height. I hope it was an encouragement. I hope it's an encouragement. Listen, brother, sister, the Lord will get you through. The Lord is my helper. Why? I will never leave thee or forsake thee. Even if you got yourself in your own jam. Even if you got yourself in your own jam. Shake hands before leaving.